Italy is a destination that many tourists consider to be a must-see. Regardless of your travel preferences, this exotic yet homey nation will satisfy them. There is a wealth of culture, history, cuisine, music, architecture, sacred sites, quaint towns, and breathtaking scenery all around, and the atmosphere is one that only the most adamant cynic could not enjoy. Italy is full of amazing places to visit, from the towering Dolomite Mountains in the north to the Puglian beaches and the Sicilian temples that date back thousands of years. Number 1. Rome. Rome is the top destination on the list for the majority of visitors visiting Italy, both for its historical significance as the capital of most of ancient Europe and for its current status as one of the continent's most lively cities. The Colosseum, the Forum, the Pantheon, the Appian Way, and the Palatine Hill are remnants of its former splendor, competing for attention with the Vatican's enormous wealth. Take some time to take in the city itself in between seeing key sites like the Sistine Chapel and Michelangelo's Pietà. Enjoy the Borghese Gardens, enjoy gelato on the Spanish Steps, stroll through Trastevere's winding lanes, drink morning cappuccinos in cafes, window shop on the Via Veneto, and toss a coin into the Trevi Fountain to ensure future visits. Number 2. Florence. Florence, the epicenter of the Italian Renaissance, occasionally resembles a massive art gallery. With its huge dome defying gravity, the Duomo, also known as the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, is an icon of global architecture. This is one of the best collections of Renaissance art in the entire world, together with its marble-inlaid bell tower by Giotto and the octagonal baptistry with its unmatched bronze doors by Ghiberti. More treasures adorn its churches and palaces, and half a dozen art museums are filled to the brim with paintings and sculptures. Visit the Boboli Gardens, the Altrano's artist studios and workshops, or Santa Croce's leather stores before you consume too much art in the Uffizi Gallery and Pitti Palace. Number 3. Venice. Who wouldn't fall in love with a city where the roads are made of water, the buses are boats, and the gondoliers' lilting songs fill the air? It is a magical city, and the city itself is what draws most visitors. The expansive Piazza San Marco, often known as St. Mark's Square, serves as the city's center and is flanked by many of its key tourist destinations. The lofty Campanile towers above both the enormous Basilica of St. Mark and the Doge's Palace, which are both in Venice. One of the most romantic activities in Italy is a gondola trip. Number 4. Tuscan hill towns. Stone villages in Tuscany that have Etruscan roots top the region's uneven terrain. They are all perched on hills, and several still have the castles and turrets that formerly provided protection for their dominant locations. Given that each has distinctive architecture, artwork, personalities, and narratives, it is challenging to pick one over the others. San Gimignano, which is surrounded by walls that are still mostly intact and is rather brimming with towers, still resembles what it did during the Middle Ages when it was a significant halt for pilgrims traveling to Rome. When the Romans arrived, Volterra was a significant Etruscan center, and the city still has remnants from both cultures. Arezzo's tourist attractions are a result of the numerous writers, painters, and architects that have resided there. Tuscany is home to several of the top tourist destinations in Italy due to its hill towns' closeness to the cities of Florence, Siena, Pisa, and Lucca. Number 5. Milan. Milan is sometimes disregarded as a travel destination on its own, despite the fact that its airport serves as a significant entry point for travelers. That's unfortunate because Milan is one of the cities in Italy with the largest concentration of creative and architectural sites, making a visit essential for anybody interested in design, fashion, or shopping. The enormous cathedral known as El Duomo in Milan is one of the most beautiful cathedrals in the entire world and the best example of flamboyant Gothic architecture. The most prominent opera house in the world, La Scala, hangs on a monastery wall, and the city is dotted with museums and palaces housing some of the best works of art in existence. A trip through the renowned Quadrilatero is something that no fashionista can resist. Number 6. Lake Como. since the time of the ancient Romans, who escaped the summer heat of Milan to cool off in villas along its rocky shores. Como, Italy's most picturesque lake, has been a favorite summer getaway for the rich and famous. Later villas adorn the town's densely packed neighborhoods, particularly the charming Bellagio, which is skillfully positioned at the intersection of the lake's three narrow arms. Before boarding a steamer to tour the lake, don't overlook Como, a town on the southern shore that is well worth a visit. In close proximity to Lake Como's west is Lake Maggiore, which has its own attractions, and Lake Garda, which is home to a summertime playground with a variety of activities like water sports. Number 7. Amalfi Coast. Just south of Naples, the high, rugged Amalfi Peninsula projects sharply into the Mediterranean, forming the southern edge of Naples Bay. There is probably no more picturesque or unlikely location for the towns that spill down its rocky slopes. In the majority of these charming towns, the streets are staircases, and the homes behind them appear to be glued to the cliffs. All around, flowers are in bloom, and below the towns, there are enticing beaches that are tucked away in emerald-colored coves. The town of Ravello is perched high above the coast, where opulent gardens surround some of the best coastal views. One of the most beautiful drives in the world is the Amalfi Drive, which runs along the southern coast. Number 8. The Cinque Terre. Before the railway connected them by tunneling through the headlands that separate them, the 5 towns that cling to the steep, rocky Mediterranean coast north of La Spezia were nearly impassable by land. The route that locals once took to get from town to town along the cliffs is now one of the best hikes in Italy. However, the shortest and widest part of it, between Manarola and Rio Maggiore, is known as the Via dell'Amore and will be closed until sometime in 2022 due to a landslide. Although most tourists want to hike the trail, don't discount the pleasures of spending time in these tiny villages. The most charming towns are Rio Maggiore and Vernazza, with their winding streets leading to harbors surrounded by small rocks. Despite its recent surge in visitor numbers, the Cinque Terre continues to rank among Italy's top tourist destinations. Number 9. Pisa and Luca. While you're in Tuscany, you should definitely stop by these 2 nearby towns, one for the extraordinary Campo dei Miracoli complex and the other for its endearing charms. A UNESCO World Heritage Site that also includes the cathedral, baptistry, and Campo Santo is home to the famous Italian icon known as the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which is actually the campanile for the nearby cathedral. The magnificent freestanding pulpit, a work of Romanesque sculpture by Nicola Pisano, is the focal point of the imposing baptistry. An attractive town to explore and enjoy nearby is Lucca, which is encircled by high walls, the top of which is a park with trees. A Roman arena that has been fossilized into an oval piazza, gorgeous Romanesque and Tuscan Gothic churches, tower houses, one of which you can climb to the top of, and other architectural gems can be found inside the city walls. 10. Verona. This ancient Roman stronghold's modest historic core is encircled by a steep bend in the Adige River. The impressively well-preserved 1st-century Roman arena, which serves as the setting for the famed Summer Opera Festival, dominates the area. Many of the Renaissance and medieval structures in Verona contain Roman arches, demonstrating the city's lengthy involvement with the Venetian Empire. The substantial Castel Vecchio, a 14th-century castle, is perched along the river and guards the Ponte Scalagero, a brick-arched bridge. Despite having a vast collection of architectural and artistic treasures, Verona's biggest tourist claim to fame is purely fictional. Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet was set in Verona, and the city's citizens have complied by building homes, a balcony, and even a tomb for the fictional characters over the past century. Number 11. Bologna. Bologna is a very alluring city to visit because of its famed culinary prowess and cuisine, as well as its historic university, the oldest in Europe. Underneath the elegant arcades, which shield the streets from the sun and rain, are stores that still have their original interiors from a century ago. Admire the historic mansions along Via Galleria. The neighboring Piazza Maggiore and Piazza del Nettuno, home to the magnificent 16th-century Neptune fountain and the Basilica of San Petronius' unfinished facade, are the focal points of life there. The other church worth visiting is Santo Stefano, a complex of 7 churches constructed by the Benedictines between the 10th and 13th centuries. Asinelli and Garasenda, its 2 leaning towers, are tall, slender brick and stone pillars that are taller than Pisa's more well-known tower. These are relics from the Middle Ages, when each family had a protective tower attached to their home.